The co-founder and CEO of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, broke his own record to become the fourth richest individual, overtaking Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. So as of now, only 3 individuals are richer than Mark Zuckerberg: Bernard Arnault, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. The question arises, viewers, how did he surpass Bill Gates overnight? Let's listen in to a senior economist, Dr. Sharad Kohli. Dr. Kohli, help us understand what made Zuckerberg richer than Bill Gates overnight?
Well, it's all a game of stock markets. Whenever you see a list of rich people around the world, the very famous Forbes list, it is very important to note that most rich people, they have a lot of cars, they have a lot of properties, they have a lot of other possessions. But what principally makes them rich is their stock holdings in their company. So if Mark Zuckerberg, for example, has an X percentage in his company Meta, then the value of Meta shares as listed on the stock exchange in the NYSE, in the NASDAQ, then the value of total shares, which is called market capitalization, which is number of shares multiplied by the market price of the shares. That is what defines the wealth of an individual. So that is why Mark Zuckerberg is richer than Bill Gates. In fact, this order keeps fluctuating. Sometimes you'll find Elon Musk going to become the richest man. Sometimes you find Bernard Arnault to be richest. So it all depends on how the stock markets move and what price the company commands in the stock markets on that particular day. That is why you see somebody coming to the top, somebody going to number 3, number 2, number 4. It's all a game of stock market. So it is the value of the stocks held in your company which define your riches, for that matter.
So what makes the stocks of a company rise or drop?
You see, stocks rise and fall for various reasons. There are basically 2 reasons. As a stock market analyst, I can tell you that there are fundamental reasons and there are technical reasons. Now, fundamental reasons are, it depends on how the country is performing, how the economy is performing, how the sector is performing, then how the profit of the company is doing, what is the book value of the company, what is the PE of the company, how many investors are showing interest in the company, what are the future projections of the company, which sector does company belong to. Like in the recent past, we saw the tech sector going down. Then very recently, we saw the tech sector certainly rising. In fact, the day before yesterday, $196 billion was added to the tech sector. So I think it completely depends on the fundamental. Then technical factors, when sometimes the shares become overbought, oversold, sometimes the derivative trading in the stocks increase. So the stock prices rise and fall for various reasons. But in the long term, you will find stock prices settling down around the fundamentals. When I say fundamentals, I mean how is the company doing? What is the profitability of the company? How much is the public holding in the company? And what is the order book of the company looking like? What is the economic environment at that point of time? So there are various factors which define the movement of stock markets.
I see. How do owners of large firms tap into their stocks to generate more wealth?
Well, the promoter of a firm, promoter of a company, basically, he's the person who founded the company. So when the company starts, he holds most of the shares. Then when the company goes public, when the company comes out with an IPO, so then he disseminates some of its stock holdings to general public and to some institutions. And that is when the valuation of the company starts. So in order to maximize the wealth, what the person will do is, first he holds 100%. That is the nascent stage, the beginning. Then he disseminates the shares to some institutions. Then he comes with an IPO. And the moment he comes with an IPO, there is, like, for example, in India, there is a red herring prospectus through which you come out with an IPO. Then the set of merchant bankers, they define the value of the company. Now, suppose a 10 rupee share, I'm taking in the Indian context, a 10 rupee share suddenly commands a price of, let's say, 300. So if the promoter had spent, let's say, 1 lakh rupees, his value grows up by 30 times for that matter. So that is how they become rich. So every time they find that, the prospects of the company are looking better, they also do buyback. So he will tend to buy back from the stock markets when only he knows that what is his plan. So when he knows that in future the value of the company is going to rise, he will buy back, he will increase his stock holding, he will increase his control over the company. And that is how his wealth grows, because as the company's value grows, his stock also grows. Likewise, they also dispose of the shares when they see that the value of the company is not likely to rise. They also dilute their holdings. So it's a very complicated process through which the promoters either increase their holdings or dilute their holdings.
Last question for you, Dr. Kohli. How does a drop in company stocks impact the personal wealth of founders and CEOs?
Well, that's very easy to understand because let's say if I have a company which has got a worth of $100 billion and I hold in my company, let's say 55% stocks. So I am worth $55 billion. Now, if the share price in the market, which is the market capitalization for any reason, falls down, let's say that $100 billion company comes down to $50 billion. Now, obviously, my worth from $55 billion will also reduce to $27.5 billion because ultimately the stock that I am holding, as I said, is defined by the market price of stock, market price of the share. So if the price rises, my value increases. If the price of the share falls, my value falls down. We saw this happening in the case of Mr. Adani in India when this Hindenburg incident happened. Well, Mr. Adani used to be the world's second or third richest person because his stocks were of that value. And suddenly Hindenburg happened. Overall, his company's market capitalization fell and his position also slipped down to number 30 or whatever. Now, of course, Adani Group has recovered. He's again amongst the richest in the world. Not at the top, but there is some more recovery to be done. So basically, a promoter's wealth is defined by the market capitalization and the value of shares his company commands on stock exchanges. If it rises, he becomes richer. If the value of shares fall, he becomes poorer by that amount or his net worth falls down.
Thank you for those insights, Dr. Kohli. There we go, viewers. Zuckerberg is set to receive approximately $174 million when the company pays out its first dividend in March. For more such updates, stay tuned with NewsX. News, not noise.